So I wanted to talk about the Dutch system and the current state of the government in the Netherlands. So I want to say that you can't trust anything that the Dutch media says. They have an agenda that they're trying to push on you. And what they want to do is they want to divide society. And so what you have is a society of people who are afraid to stand up to the government, to rebel against the government. We're seeing a lot of stuff like there were the farmers' protests, which are still going on. But it's difficult to find reliable information on that because the media suppresses that information. And none of that was ever covered by the Dutch media. They never covered it. You know, there's thousands of tractors protesting, and the police can't do anything about it. They actually went over, the farmers went over to, they arrested one of the farmers, and the farmers went over to the station with their tractors, and the police were forced to release them. So this idea that authority is all powerful is not correct. So our acquiescence is the problem. That's the major problem. We live in a society where the truth is rigorously suppressed. So in Netherlands, there's tens of thousands of children being taken every year from their parents, and they try to repress those statistics, causing untold amounts of trauma and just traumatizing these kids so they can't function when they're older, when they're adults. That's the whole reason for it. So, and there was Dr. Henry Nakad, she was a conspiracy lawyer, and she talked about how she wasn't really a conspiracy theorist. They took away her law license, and she actually sued the Dutch government. And it just to show just how corrupt the legal system is. You don't really have any rights. They tell us, many people, they believe in this idea, the fairy tale idea of the Netherlands. But that just doesn't reflect the reality, which is when you have all these politicians who are really corrupt and into all this satanic occult stuff and pedophilia and all this, they become entitled. There's never any consequences for these people. They see themselves as gods. So I think if you get really high up in the hierarchy of the power structure, not just in Netherlands but in most countries, there obviously is a globalist agenda. So they've conspired to, challenge the integrity of the Netherlands, and they essentially it's treasonous, it's treachery. They've sold out to the globalists. And but also you have to talk about how the problem in Netherlands is really serious. There's many children being raped in foster homes by foster parents in the Dutch CPS system. And none of those people are being held accountable. So I know of a case where really none of these people are being held accountable at all. I mean, there was been thousands of people who've come forward and said they were raped as kids by their foster parents, and they're never held accountable. I read there was a case where a woman tried to sue them. The prosecutor even looked at her with contempt. So there's like even the prosecutors weren't on their side. But what you'll find is that many of the criminal prosecutors they actually want to go after these people. So I actually had a bit of a different experience, and I actually I was arrested at one point for nothing, and they wanted to deport me. They deported me from the Netherlands several months ago, and they wanted. I forgot what I was going to say. They wanted me to be, sent away. And so what they want is there are actually. I know of a case. I know that I told some judges and the prosecutor about it. One of my cases, and they agree with me, and they gave me less time to let me out early. They're afraid of people like me, people like us. They're afraid. Authority is afraid, and there's even people in authority that agree with what I'm saying completely. You won't believe that. They just don't. Maybe in a courtroom or in a private room, they'll tell you. But they won't go out to the media and say it. So many of them are cowards. There's many who even know what's going on, and they just are such cowards they can't stand up to it. Many people who are just completely indoctrinated. So when you're dealing with these people in authority, your average policeman, they don't have any idea what's going on. I don't think they're involved in that type of stuff, no. But I think if you go higher up, I think there are some that are, though. And if you go really up the hierarchy, you have more and more people that are like this. And you have all these pedophiles, they've discovered they can go become foster parents in Netherlands, and they won't be held accountable because youth care wants to protect themselves. They don't want foster care to look bad. They don't want it makes them look bad. But even there's another trend where they just aren't being held accountable at all. Most rapes aren't prosecuted in Netherlands. If a man rapes a woman, he's most likely not gonna be held accountable, and the woman is most likely gonna be put in a psych hospital. Yeah. So if you were a victim of human trafficking or rape, you're a woman, they're just gonna put you in a psych hospital and say you're crazy, lock you up for 9 months. That's what they'll do. Because you don't have any rights when it comes to that either. So you just see this pattern. All these systems are corrupt. And even if 1% of people came together and rebelled against this government with a nonviolent protest, which also is rigorously suppressed in Netherlands, you can't just go protest nonviolently. You got to have a lot of people with you to do that, or they'll shut you down. But what I'm saying is, you have enough people come together, they can't do nothing. Right? What was what Gandhi said? First, they laugh at you, then they try to fight you, and then you win. Right? So at first, people in authority, they'll laugh at what I'm saying. But now, they're starting to take it more seriously. They're scared. So yeah, I am advocating revolution, and I don't see a problem with violence if the government is just totally corrupt and these people are just being indoctrinated. It's just horrible, and I don't even like to talk about it because it's so horrible. But this is my mission. This is my purpose. That I have to talk about this stuff. I don't even like talking about it. And one of the worst things about it, yeah, is if only a small percentage of people came together and organized themselves, they could stop this, but they don't. So I think that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening. And the media, the revolution will not be televised, right? So it's already happening, but it just isn't covered, right? How many people have forcibly taken back their kids from a foster home, fled the country, and successfully gotten away with it? Because you read in the news, you don't see any cases of people even doing this stuff. It's like, and if you look, there's not even reliable statistics on kidnapping and stuff like that. So that's not a coincidence. Why are there so many missing children in the world, in Netherlands too, in U.S., all the million missing kids every year? How many of these kids are found? Not reliable statistics on that either. They claim most of them are found, but right, this is all strange, right? So what is this? Well, I'll talk about it and I'll tell you what it is. So remember how we were told in ancient times that they would sacrifice children to the gods in rituals, right? They would worship the Canaanite gods, and in rituals, and they would like Moloch and these demonic entities. Well, they still do, and they really believe in it just like they did in those days. But it's like another aspect of society. So there's this illusion we're living in. There's another, I don't know everything, there's another illusion. There's the evil. So you can be part of evil whether you realize it or not. But if you go up high enough in the hierarchy, they absolutely know what they're doing. Yeah. And yeah, they're delusional, they're crazy. In a way, they are even more brainwashed than the average person. But you see, they see through it. They see through this system. They know everything. They don't know everything, but I say there are people that know what they do is wrong, but they have no morals. So there's even a moral, do you know what this is called? There's a moral code for people who have no morals. That doesn't make sense, right? There is no moral code for people with no morals. That's what Satanism is, okay? It was religion invented by Anton LaVey about 100 years ago. And they claim there's different versions, but basically what it means is it's not what you think. You ever ask, and I'm not a Satanist, and I think it's bad, and you shouldn't be, but you ever, like, I think Marilyn Manson was interviewed on it once, and I don't advocate anything he says, but he said that, oh, Satanism isn't about worshiping Satan at all. You see, it's actually worse than that. Satanism basically says that because there's so much suffering in the world, so Satan is actually very simple. It's not some mysterious thing. Because there's so much suffering in the world, there can't be a good, omniscient, benevolent God. Otherwise, there wouldn't be all this suffering. So they reject divinity. They reject meaning. They reject your humanity. They say you shouldn't have any humanity. You should just do whatever you want. There's no morals. There's no judgment day. There's nothing. That's what they say. And they say there's not even these demons. They're not even real. They're just an aspect of your subconscious mind. So they reject anything supernatural, anything like that. So these people are not more awake than you and me. It's just a different type of indoctrination, you could say. And they really believe this stuff. They really believe in these rituals, and what they still believe in though is magic. So that's what a cult is. It's the hidden, revealing the hidden magic. So what is the magic? So they still believe they could do magic and rituals, but they don't believe in supernatural. Well, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. Yeah, so it is insane, and they don't just look at their beliefs, look at what they're doing. Everyone wants to deflect responsibility towards the Satanism. The problem is the Satanist people. The people that are doing this in the name of Satanism or whatever, that's their excuse. But it's what they're doing is bad. And they kill children, newborn babies, all that. And if you want to go be at the top of this big club, which is, connected to the financial, basically it's the financial system. You get all the way to the top of the financial system. Okay, now you're at the top. And even you're not at the top. There's these entities, people claim. There's these entities, this force that's like not human. So these Satanists, I don't know everything. My theory is they've been deceived to believe that this force is not real, that they don't need to have any responsibility. It is real. It's an inhuman force. I'm not going to say precisely what that is. I do have an interest in demonology, but it's not the same thing as demonology. See, it's different. And they worship some of the same entities, but it's different. See, demonology uses the power of God, righteousness, to control demons, to exert your will on earth. So it's not about, there may be some offerings, some worship, but you see, you still have a moral code. You're not going to go out there and hurt people. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to explain what it is. So many of these people that are whatever, Satanists or sacrificing kids or raping kids, I actually think that the amount of child murder going on is more than people think, but I still think it's probably rare. And most of the stuff going on is pedophile stuff. Taking kids from their parents, which is in effect a satanic ritual. And I talk about this stuff. So the average person there that works, say, for youth care, they're not, which is the CPS system that takes children, Netherlands, they're not involved in this. In a way, they are involved because the system is like an organism. They're part of that system. So they're part of it, but they don't realize it. They're serving evil without realizing it. So the whole theme is they don't have a moral code, really. Their morals are all mixed up. And because there's always intent. What's the intent? Many of these people that do this evil stuff, they were the perpetrators of today. Henry Nicot said this. They were the victims of yesterday. So this is actually one of the most understudied things. Why does someone become a pedophile? Why does someone become a killer? But it's something very understudied. Not a lot of psychiatrists want to go into the prisons and talk to these people. A lot of these people, if they're not in prison, they're not going to go, oh, I'm a psychopath, interview me. Right? So what I'm saying is that these psychopaths, it's because they were abused as children by similar types of people. So they become like these people. So we have this idea that if you're abused as a kid, you want to go help people. A lot of these people, they actually want to hurt people. There's a system that people think helps children. They all go be part of that system. But their goal is actually, unconsciously, they actually want to hurt people. So I would say many of them aren't Of course, they aren't entirely aware of why they do what they do, right? Because they can't work through it. But they know that it's linked to this trauma from their past. So when we're traumatizing more people, not giving consequences to these pedophiles, we're causing the problem to continue and get worse. And that's what leads to the collapse of society, of all these traumatized people growing up that can't function, that are hurting other people. That is a problem, right? So I talk about this system. I talk about more too, and I talk about the Great Revolution in other ones. It was the Dalai Lama who said that, he said in a secret conversation to the Dutch guy that the greatest changes on earth will first happen in the Netherlands. So I think we're having a revolution in the Netherlands, and the youth care system will collapse, and they'll be forced to give back all children. They'll go to prison. Do you want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? All right. Thank you. Please subscribe. Peace out.